And you know what time it is? It is time for some marvelous talk, man. And we are live, definitely here on this Saturday, man. And we got a lot to talk about, man. Gee, how you doing today, man? What's good?
Man, it's been a crazy 7 days, man, in the land of comic book land. Some marvelous stuff, man. We've had to sit back, watch, review, overthink, think again, process again, and overthink again about what's going on in these phases. So I think that's what we're going to holler about this morning.
It is crazy. It is crazy to think that we are here, right? But I'm not gonna spoil the conversation because the conversation is gonna get really rich really fast. So if you're with us and you like what you're seeing, make sure that you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch so that when we go live, you'll definitely be able to get the notifications and know that we are here, man. And also, before we get to any marvelous talk, let's definitely get to this. So look, man, I mean, we have had a lot of people talking and definitely have heard a lot of rumbling in the world and people saying, hey man, phase four, man, what is Marvel doing? Why is Marvel acting this way? Oh guys, why Marvel has lost a step? Oh my gosh. We've heard all of this belly aching, man. And the end of phase four is Wakanda Forever,
Right.
right? That's gonna be how we end phase four. Let's talk about what phase four have actually really done for you guys who haven't noticed. I don't think you guys have noticed at all. The shows that you've gotten phase four with the characters gotten in phase four. So this graphic's a little undersized, but I definitely want to make sure that you guys get it because I don't think it's been one of those things that's been talked about, and we're going to talk about it first before we get into the character list. Before we actually get into the character list and telling you guys, what characters have been introduced, I want you guys to understand and know that the actual shows that have been put into place, the first show that we got phase four was definitely WandaVision, correct?
Yeah. As far as live stream on Disney Plus was WandaVision.
Okay, and the first movie we got of phase four
Was Black Widow, but it was actually a phase 3.
it
But the
should have been
first,
a phase. It actually should have been a phase two.
right,
I
correct,
mean,
correct. Yeah, really.
that's how late it was in this whole thing. But
Right.
so and then we're like I said, we're ending all of that in between is ending out and crescendoing in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now look at this. We've got Monica Rambeau, White Vision, who's called a different name in the comic books. We all have deemed him White Vision. We got Billy and Tommy, which is Speed and Wiccan, and all of that was from WandaVision, right? Agatha Harkness, WandaVision. The next thing we got was from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which turned out to be Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Patriot, Joaquin Torres, who is the new Falcon. You got U.S. Agent, you got Val, all of that came from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, get this: there were other characters, but some of them died off, and Big G will bring those characters up to mind. But we're not talking about ones that actually died off. We're definitely talking about the ones that stayed around, right? Then next you got the TVA, you got Kang, you got Sylvie, Kang's girl, I forget her name. What was her name, Big G? The judge. She was the one that spoke.
Reva is her name, but
Reva.
yeah. But she
Yes.
does different things. She does different things, and she's a whole different setup moving forward with the different Kangs, and we'll get into that as we go.
Definitely. But Reva's important part of this whole thing. Then you got Yelena, and you got Red Guardian, you got Taskmaster. All of those came from Black Widow, right? Then you got Kate Bishop, you got Echo, and you got Daredevil and Kingpin. All of those came from Hawkeye, right? Then you have Shang-Chi, you got Katie from Shang-Chi. And like again, those are from Shang-Chi. Other characters that are still there, Death Dealer, and then of course we brought the Abomination back with Wong inside of that as well. Then the Eternals and the Celestials. Big G is gonna have to elaborate on that, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. There's a lot there. There's a lot of meat on that bone. The Eternals and the Celestials. And then in that movie, you got Black Knight, you got Blade. Then on top of that, next you got Moon Knight. You got Layla from Moon Knight. Then the Elder Gods, the mention of the Elder Gods was there. From What If, you got Captain Britain, the Watcher, the Zombies. You had Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, America Chavez, Black Bolt, alternative Captain Marvel, Reed Richards, Clea, Gore, Love, Isaiah Bradley. I forgot about Isaiah Bradley earlier. Alternative Professor X, Namor, Namoria, Tatiana, Red Dagger, Red Scorpion, Battle Scar, Ursa Major. Forgot about them in Black Widow. Madripoor, Mockingbird, and then of course What If, and then all of the Spider-Man alter universe Spider-Man, all of those were there, and all of those villains. So listen, when we talk about that many characters, this first, let's agree, and tell me if we're wrong, BG. Let's agree that these are the most characters that's ever been introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's definitely agree on that. Let's talk about that for a minute, G.
Well, there's actually no doubt that, and for those that have had the issue and the problems with trying to understand what's going on with this phase 4 and how it's not traditionalistic like the phases 1, 2, and 3 for Marvel. The list that Ma just went through are characters that we've literally been introduced to in less than one calendar year. And if you go back and you think about from phases 1 through 3, there was that character list couldn't touch the character list that you just got a rundown. And I'm quite sure there was 1 or 2 or 3 that we might have missed. So Marvel has just broadened, expanded their universe in order to build characters and stories around these people, right? We haven't even got to the end of phase 4 with She-Hulk, I Am Groot, and the Wakanda Forever, the climactic end of phase 4. And we're looking at a character list that might be 100 characters long. And we haven't even only mentioned mutants but one time, and that was in Miss Marvel. So the issue is for those that love the Marvelous, they have to or the Marvel or the MCU, they have to understand that they are building worlds on top of worlds on top of worlds on top of worlds to build content, to build stories, to continue to bring information to you directly from the comic books to the big screen. So a lot of folks is caught up on that,
Yeah, Zach Curtis said Kang will be there conquering. Absolutely. Kang is going to be a part of that. Xavier said it's political. I think people are downplaying it because it's a male dominant universe. Phase 4, 5, and 6 will show women equal to men. There's an agenda behind all entertainment. Okay, I can hear what you're saying on the conspiracy theorist front, X. But I will tell you, it's looking more comic bookish. That's what we're doing, right?
Right.
We're getting to the diversity of the comic books, bro. Like you see my shirt, it's a whole bunch of characters.
Right.
And
Correct.
look at the wall behind me. You know what I mean? That picture, this picture. There's a whole bunch of characters. Marvel ain't just the Avengers. You
Right.
know,
Correct.
Marvel is just not the X-Men, right? Marvel is more than that. It is a whole universe. And to have a whole universe, you've got to bring in different cultures, you've got to bring in different characters, and you have to introduce them. This is the bridge. No, it's not all. So Xavier said it's all males on my shirt. No, it is not. If you look, there's Spider-Gwen, there's a whole bunch of different characters that are female-driven characters there. And I'm, trying to prove a point. This guy. Oh, it's got to be you. It's got to be one. It's got to be one. But no, so when you look at it, like I said, you're introducing this whole universe, and you're doing it from a vantage point where you're bringing in characters to support all of the main characters that you're going to have in this universe, right? So they are telling the story. Like I told Big G before, what they did in the last move was they put in all of the big pieces from the middle in the last move, right? And then they built it out. So you had a clear picture. This move, they started building the puzzles around the borders, and you still don't know what it is you're looking at, right? Talk to me a little bit about the way that Phase 4 was built in this dispensation. Talk to me a little bit about that, G.
Well, I had a sidebar conversation with a guy that's a local guy here that works at the movie theater, and we were talking about how they built this phase. And he gave me a great comparison. And, I'm sort of going to steal his stuff to explain it. Lima, where I'm from, Ohio, has a lot of brand loyalty. And when you build brand loyalty, you stand on a brand. So you bring you a basic product that you can bring to people over and over and over again. And they know what that product stands for. And then they start sidebarring and bringing different things in to go from like an experimental stage to then that becomes part of the brand. And that's sort of like what they built for this Marvel Phase 4. We knew the brand. We know the Captain Americas. We know the Thors. We know the Hawkeyes. We know the Black Widows. We know the Incredible Hulks. We know the Ant-Mans. We know the traditionalistic Falcons, and the list goes on and on. But in order for you to really have and understand what Marvel is and the concept of Marvel, you got to build the brand out. So keep adding characters on top of characters on top of characters, so then that way you can continue to build stories. So this particular wave or this level is building some of those people that some folks in their mind think are subsidiary characters. But in all actuality, understanding the comic book, you'll know that they're going to build out the brand because the names of the characters that they brought in, the Moon Knights, the Kamala Khan, Miss Marvels, the Shang-Chi's, the She-Hulks, the things that we've seen new that people just can't wrap their mind around, the America Chavez's. These are really foundational pieces as far as the Marvel universe is concerned on the comic book. Xavier, you were talking about it was a male-centric ideology from comic books to start out with. In all actuality, it wasn't. If you really know the comic books that was built in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, every team had a minimum of one female that was a cornerstone in the comics. So now what you're just seeing that how they built the brand to America was to build it out on names that you know. Captain America, Thor, Hulk, the guy, Spider-Man, the people you know. Now they're actually building the comic book brand. So in that way, they can tell you more and more and more and more stories. So that's just my idea of how they're trying to push the pendulum and move it forward concerning Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. There was always a female character. I mean, look at X-Men, it was Storm and Rogue, Jubilee.
But before that, it was Jean Grey, who
it was
later
Jean
on
Grey.
became,
Yeah, I mean, you had females that are there. Just honestly, when it comes down to it, and we start to see what Phase 4 did, Phase 4 was the bridge. That's what we're going to be calling Phase 4 moving forward. It was the bridge. It was the door that opened up a lot of different characters and a lot of different worlds for us moving forward. We're going to need those worlds to tell the stories that we're about to tell, right?
Right.
And that's why we're so excited about Black Panther, because when you think about it, not only is it an ode to Chadwick, this is the climax. So you have to end on a high note. You're gonna have to end on a high note in order to be able to knock this out the park. So you're gonna get a really, really, really good movie. And then of course She-Hulk's gonna start right before that. So we're gonna get a lot of good information from She-Hulk. They said that what we're hearing is that you're gonna get a lot of more characters introduced in She-Hulk. So, we're getting all of these characters introduced. At some point, they're going to have to use them, right?
Correct. And then, as well as I do, Kevin Feige wastes nothing. So because Kevin Feige wastes nothing, he might build what you think a subsidiary character or backdoor character into a plot, but eventually they're going to expound on that character. And then plus we know, not getting ahead of the conversation, we know what the climactic thing is going to be in phase 6. So, all of these characters is like a toolbox or a sandbox that this guy can pull from,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's one of those things when you start to put one and one together, it's really equaling, two. So I'm excited. I'm just excited. Phase 4, it wasn't boring. Phase 4 didn't take a long time to develop. Phase 4 wasn't like watching paint dry. Phase 4 was exciting. If you really knew how everything was being opened up and expanded, it was very exciting. It really was. So you're looking forward to Phase 5 and the first 2 movies of Phase 5, and we're only going to talk about that for a second because they said earlier last year that Keanu Reeves was going to be in Marvel. Everybody knows who Keanu Reeves is. Everybody knows.
It's not even a they said. This guy has signed a contract with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes.
So everybody knows who Keanu Reeves is. He played in The Matrix. He was Neo. Definitely John Wick. This is a guy, man. This is a really big actor in Hollywood. Now, they've sat on him for a year.
Right.
There's no way they're going to sit on him for another year, right?
Correct.
Let's talk about who this character can actually be, right? Before we get into Phase 5, I brought those first 2 movies up, Ant-Man Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy. Brought those up for a reason, because for this conversation. Now, we haven't seen him yet. We haven't seen Keanu Reeves yet.
Correct.
Right? At first, we thought maybe Ghost Rider. We thought, maybe it's going to be Ghost Rider. Well, Ghost Rider is probably not going to be introduced for, another year or so.
Correct.
I can't see them sitting on Keanu Reeves for another year. Right. The movies we have coming is She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
With the series, and then Wakanda Forever.
Right.
So let's and then right after that, you have Ant-Man Quantumania. And which Jonathan Majors, Kang, is the big bad in there. Zach even talked about, Kang will be conquering. So I don't think he would be in Ant-Man Quantumania. And then Guardians of the Galaxy is telling a whole nother story. It's basically, and we'll get to that, it's basically telling the Thor Love and Thunder story in reverse, right? Because of Gamora and what's my guy? Star-Lord. Right?
Star-Lord,
right. So you're telling that story in reverse. So Keanu Reeves, where does that leave him? Who does that leave him to play? Talk to me about that, G.
Well, I really do believe that if you look at like how mine laid out the content of the stories that's going to be told within the next 6 months to a year, that a Hollywood star like Keanu Reeves, they cannot continue to sit on, right? He carries too much weight, right? So we have 2 options. Actually 3. Option number 1 is Ghost Rider, which there's some rumors that Ghost Rider will be showing up somewhere in the She-Hulk series. But I'm not betting it. If I had to put money on it, I would say probably 20%, maybe 30%, because they're not going to waste a character reveal like Keanu Reeves on a Disney Plus platform. It's going to be something bigger. So that eliminates him or eliminates that character. The next character is the Silver Surfer. Well, you know as well as I do, with the announcements of the phases, that the Fantastic Four movie is not coming for a while, right? And we know that we're probably not going to get an introduction of a character like the Silver Surfer in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because we already know the High Evolutionary and Adam Warlock is showing up, and there's already been casted major roles, major characters, major actors. So they're not going to sit on Keanu through Silver Surfer, okay? So now it's to the guy that I really truly believe who Keanu Reeves is. You might not know that Keanu Reeves is this character with the introduction in it, but I do believe that they're going to introduce Dr. Doom in Wakanda Forever. And when they introduce Doom, you might get a silhouette, an outline, and all whatever else, but you won't be able to identify that it's Keanu Reeves. And I think you'll get a backstory with Keanu Reeves being Doom that will lead into what the Fantastic Four movie is in 2025. And all along, you'll see Doom pushing buttons just like Kang is pushing buttons, because we already know from Kevin Feige that this phase is called the multiverse phase, or the multi-universe phase. So when you hear multi, that's just not talking about worlds, universes, and all whatever else. It's also talking about that there's multiple big bads doing their stuff, because we're leading up to a big project in several years up the road, which has already been announced, called Secret Wars.
Secret Wars. Yeah, so this is deductive reasoning. This is what this is called. We're using big words. But the gist of the matter is that I don't think they waste anything with Keanu Reeves on a Disney Plus special or show. That
correct.
I don't think that they do that, right? I think they use him for a central character, and that central character is going to be Victor Von Doom.
Correct.
Right? And I really believe that, and most people aren't talking about this because they forgot about his casting, but he's been casted, he signed a contract, and I think different than Big G. I think they're going to introduce Doom. I think they're going to introduce Doom and show him as Doom, right? I think they're going to introduce
in Wakanda Forever. You think they're going to introduce?
Yes,
Doom?
I don't think
like
you're going to see
full
him
blown. You'll see.
I don't think you're going to see him in garb.
Wow.
I don't think you're going to see him in garb, but I think you're going to see Victor Von Doom in a business suit, saying, you know, hey, this is Victor Von Doom. Hey, this is Victor. You're going to find out that Victor is pushing this army to do what they're doing. You're going to find out that he's the guy behind everything. You're not going to see Doom, but you're going to see Victor Von Doom, right?
Okay.
Victor Von Doom's a different character. I mean, he's Doom, but he just ain't morphed into the Doom suit yet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think that's what you're going to get. I think you're going to get Victor Von Doom, the businessman. So they're going to introduce that this is Keanu Reeves. Like, wow, this is Keanu Reeves in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, right? And then right after that, I think you'll get Doom and garb. Especially, I think when you start seeing us get closer to that Fantastic Four. But the Fantastic Four is all about Galactus. So I think we're going to deal with Doom before we even get to them, right?
Right.
I think we're going to deal with Doom before we ever get to it. That's just our thought here at Marvelous Talk. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us where you think Keanu is going to end up at, man. Definitely sound off. We'd love to hear that. I mean, you know, we can talk about that and reason, but I think Keanu is going to end up in Wakanda Forever, which is going to make me stand up and applause. I don't know if y'all seen that episode of Dragonfly Jones where he was walking around clapping his hands. You know, that would be me in the movie theaters, kind of walking around, clapping my hands, you know, hyping everybody up if I saw that. And seeing Victor Von Doom, I'm going to lose it. Now, I won't lose it the way that I'm going to lose it if we see multiple Black Panthers. Multiple Black Panthers in this movie is going to make me lose it. Don't come watch it with me. Don't at me. Don't talk to me on Twitter or YouTube. I don't care. I'm going to lose it if I see multiple Black Panthers. That's happening.
Right.
What do you think
right.
about that, G?
It's going to happen because you have to understand and know the story of Wakanda. So the issue is of Von Doom being in the MCU is here is a foregone conclusion. But how he comes into the MCU is going to be the great thing. So I'm really looking forward to Victor Von Doom being part of the MCU because I know, just like Kang and Jonathan Majors, they can carry this story and move the pendulum forward to us getting to the big, broad movie that everybody wants to team up called Avengers Secret Wars.
Say it again, G.
I said, I think that this is going to lead all to the big bad team up movie that everyone is looking for, which is Avengers Secret Wars. So moving Doom and bringing guys like Kang, Doom, and all these other characters in, it's just moving the pendulum higher and higher and higher for the Marvelous Talk podcast and for the MCU.
Bert Lozano, thank you for your comment. I definitely hear you. You said, yo, I'm not sure Keanu has the chops needed for Doom. Silver Surfer makes more sense to me. Okay, let's say this. You're saying that you don't think he has the acting chops needed to play Victor Von Doom. Bro, he played John Wick. He played Neo. Those are the type of characters that he would have to play in order to be Von Doom. Von Doom is a good bad guy, right? Yeah. In other words, he has elements of good. He's not an anti-hero at all. He is a bad guy, straight up. You know what I'm saying? But he has good things about his personality. Like, okay, he's not a bad person. He's just bent on creating doom. That's what he does.
The issue is that, so we know that Kevin Feige takes liberties from the Marvel comic book world in order to build out the bigger picture, right? So we know the Secret Wars is coming. Secret Wars it's been wrote twice. The original rendition of Secret Wars, the story was pushed by this guy called the Beyonder, where they brought all kind of heroes and all kind of villains in to fight this battle over Earthworld, right? Which was almost like an incursion. But when they rewrote the Doom story or the Secret War story in 2015, that's when Doom became the centerpiece. Because like I've said on the show over and over and over again, Doom is 100% magic and 100% technology and science pushed together. Well, Kang the Conqueror is almost sort of like magic and science pushed together. So we're building a story where these heroes have obstacles that they might not be able to come together as a team and knock off, because for the first time, you're going to have villains come together and fight. So Keanu teamed up with Jonathan Majors. I think that would be one of the greatest things you ever saw with role play back and forth between Keanu playing Doom and Jonathan Majors playing Kang, and those two guys going back and forth trying to figure out who's the guy, because both of them are centric as far as they're 100% evil, but it's about them getting their stuff off. Kang, we already know, right? He's created this perfect timeline already, and Doom probably found out about it and was like, well, all I got to do is just checkmate him and take his powers. So, and that's the type of guy Doom is. So Keanu locking into that it would be off the chain, man.
Doom is a very duplistic character.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He's a duplistic character. Bert, I thank you, man. Really, honestly, I thank you for your comment. And I mean, I could see what you're saying, Silver Surfer. But to me, I mean, Silver Surfer is not going to be around anytime soon. And I don't see Marvel sitting on Keanu. He just finished John Wick, right? I don't see them sitting on Keanu in much longer. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. Sitting on an actor like that you announced that you signed. I just don't see it happening, right?
Right.
I don't see it happening. But Doom is a very duplistic character. And to Big G's point, when you have these type of enemies that you're fighting, Kang exists in multiple timelines.
Correct.
Right? And you can't just kill him in one and think you're done with him.
Right.
You're not. You have to come see him in another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And it's just one of those things that he's gonna be hard to get rid of. And with Doom plotting, this is this whole thing with the enemies. You're just not gonna get a big brute character like Thanos anymore, because it was not all about strength beating him, right?
Right.
These characters and these enemies are going to be very cerebral, and they're going to be hard to beat because they're thinking just like you're thinking, and it's not about their sheer power level. You're going to have to outsmart them. You're going to have to beat them to the punch. You're going to have to, figure out what they're doing and then head them off at the pass. That's going to be the type of looks that we're getting from villains moving forward, right?
Right.
The anti-heroes, you got to think about this. The anti-heroes are going to be powerful. Namor is very powerful, and he's an anti-hero.
Right.
They started this out with U.S. Agent. Same thing.
Right? Val, for those that don't know, Val is a stealth person that's moving around in the background that we've already got stuff about, that she's putting together a squad. So if you think Val's tough, because Val really is playing three-dimensional chess. If you think she's a bad girl, wait till you get a hold of Doom, and wait till you get a hold of the real Kang and Jonathan Majors. These guys are playing unbelievable three-dimensional chess. They're like playing it in 3D, in outer space, and super speed. So this is like a big-time thing that's going on with stealth people running in the background.
Yeah, definitely. Bird Lozano chimed back in. He said, true, but he always seems the same character to me. He's great, but I don't see any duplicity. Can it work? Of course. Feige can make it happen. Now, you said a mouthful right there. Kevin Feige is the greatest.
Yeah.
He's the greatest. So if anybody can make it work, he can definitely make it work.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. I can see where you're coming from on the same kind of mild, reserved kind of character. But think about him in Hardball. He was different. Think about him in Speed. He was different. He's done these movies, right? He just ain't did them in a long time. You know, what was the football movie that he played in too, where he played the quarterback? Different. I forget the name of that movie, but it's different character altogether.
Well, the issue is with Keanu Reeves too. We know this. Keanu Reeves is long in the chops. You know, he's not no young pup, right? And so we've already gotten proof that, or actual official release from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Fantastic Four is not going to be an origin story in the MCU, right? You've been told the story 19 times. It's not time to do it again. So that means that the characters that they cast for these roles are going to be a little bit older. They're not going to be young pups, right? So Keanu Reeves as Doom, you know, in his 50s, you know, mid 50s, late 50s, maybe even early 60s. Okay, Doom's been around for a while, but him becoming Victor Von Doom is what you're going to see. So that's why I really am banking on the fact of Keanu being that guy, because he's a perfect cast. Because the Fantastic Four is not going to be kids that they introduce in the MCU. They're going to be older actors, because the story that we'll find out later on is the Four has been around for a while. And I think you're going to get some big stuff reveals and Ant-Man Quantumania and stuff about the Fantastic Four, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, and speaking of character casting, we found out this week that you know, Fox and they've had these characters locked in till 2025,
right?
The X-Men characters. And I don't see, and Bird, I know that you'll probably love this conversation, but you know, I mean, I just don't see anybody inside of the Marvel universe that Fox used except the young Professor X, the young Magneto, the young Storm. They're keeping Evan Peters. They're actually keeping Evan Peters. They've even said it. You know, I forget his name, Boner, Ralph Boner. They're keeping him around, right? And they said they're going to keep Evan Peters. So Evan Peters is going to translate. You know, you already got the actor that played Moon Knight, he's already here in the MCU. So, of course, Oscar Isaac. We've already got Oscar Isaacs. He's here, so you don't have to worry about him. Kevin Feige gave the opportunity for Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine. He doesn't want to do that, right?
Correct.
Patrick Stewart, we've seen him as an alternative Professor X here already. So I think, honestly, the characters that we're going to keep we've already seen. Only one other character that I would keep if it was me, and that was the Young Storm. Everybody else, I ain't like. I don't know about you, Big G. I didn't like the listen. The first Jean Grey was horrible. You know what I'm saying? She was horrible. It was trash.
Okay.
Let's agree that the only two good X-Men movies were First Class and Days of Future Past. Let's agree.
I agree. I mean, there's no doubt.
Was decent.
Yeah,
Days of Future Past was the best one.
Right. I agree.
Right?
But so this is the issue. The issue is that the deal that Fox cut as far as name, image, and likeness was direct contract ties to the characters like Patrick Stewart, like Ryan Reynolds from the Fox universe. And so they cannot use the original or name, image, and likeness of a fictional character unless the person that played that character in the Fox universe agrees to come over to the MCU, right? So we know on this trip that they're building out a multiverse. We already saw 838 universe on the big screen in the Multiverse of Madness, and that's when you saw the Illuminati, or that version of the Illuminati, which they brought over actors because Black Bolt was from the actual television show The Inhumans. Patrick Stewart was from the actual character, the Fox rendition of the Marvel, right?
Marvel.
So now there's this big thing about they can't bring people in who are mutant characters, which is really almost the story that they've told in Fox, because it seemed like Fox hurried up and ran through characters because they knew that this deal was on the table. So Feige is not going to break the bank and try to pay people who might be marginal actors over. So they're going to slow the roll on bringing mutants in. However, the issue is, and I've told this to both Mod and Max off camera, and I want to make sure that I share this with the Marvelous Talk fans and people that are out there. I'm telling you that they're not going to slow roll with mutants. You're going to see characters like Omega Red, like the Alpha Flight, like the Morlocks, like Mr. Sinister. You're going to see characters that are mutants, even Namor. I mean, we all of a sudden, boom, they were waiting to bring mutants in. That's why they announced Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, as a mutant. Because in the comic books, the only reason why she wasn't a mutant is because Fox owned the mutants. And so they didn't want to give them the ideology to use her. So they turned her into an Inhuman, but she was supposed to have been a mutant to begin with. So I'm saying that to say that you're going to get mutant on top. I would be willing to bet that every movie moving forward, every television show moving forward, you're going to have at least an introduction of one mutant in it. Because they're building the mutant world. So then that way, when this thing flips in 2025, they're going to be able to explore the X-Men. But unless they get characters, because there might be some pressure going on with those people that play those roles in the Fox world to say, hey, look, this is just too much money. And Feige wants to put me in. So I want to jump into this thing and roll the dice,
Kevin Feige can keep the character if he wanted to use them, right?
Right, correct.
He can keep the character and use them and introduce them inside of this multiverse saga. But I mean, and I want to hear from you guys. I definitely want to hear from you guys out there in Marvelous Talk Land. Who do you think? Who would you keep out of that Fox universe and that Fox dispensation of the X-Men? I mean, first of all, Kelsey Grammer was horrible. Horrible. The next guy that they had playing Beast, he was serviceable, but I wouldn't want to see him again. Like I said, what's her name that played Mystique? Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
I really want to see her in it. I don't really want to see her in the MCU at all. I mean, it doesn't mean anything for me. it's not one of those things to where I was like, oh man, woo, I want to see Jennifer Lawrence. You know, I mean, I could keep going. Cyclops, I don't want to see him again. I didn't think he was a very good Cyclops. Shoo. Let's see. Jean Grey.
There's the only person that I would actually want to see come over outside of Patrick Stewart, who's already there, but I don't know if we're going to get him as Xavier, would be the original or the young Magneto from X-Men First Class that was then the Days of Future Past. That's the only person that I think would play the role because I think his character fits that. But from the Fox universe, kill them all. And then if you need to use them like in a Secret Wars or something like that, that's cool. There's nobody that I really want to see because I want to see Feige do the right thing with the characters. I'm a wishful thinker, and I want to see the X-Men original rendition. I want to see the story told right. So the first line of the X-Men was Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, Bobby Drake, Iceman, Warren Worthington III, Angel, Scott Summers, Cyclops, and Hank McCoy is the Beast. I want to see that team first, and then bring in Wolverine and Colossus and Nightcrawler, and that's the thing that I'm a traditionalist or a loyalist. So I want to see that. So I think Kevin Feige's got that mindset that he's going to wait to bring it in like that because he knows so many fans versus seeing the way that the Fox team built it. Because you got to remember, Fox built it to build the cartoon. It wasn't like they built it to build the movies. They wanted that cartoon to push. And that cartoon is so powerful that they're bringing it back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Zach had a question, and Zach, you're still here. I want to make sure that I answer your question. You're saying with Kang having so many variants, how do you defeat Kang? Kang Prime.
Yeah.
You got to get to Kang Prime.
Right. That's the only way. Right.
Only way.
Right.
And I believe that there's a method to that madness. It's why you introduced all of this this God talk.
Yeah.
You got all of this God talk and all of the elder gods. Well, guess who was around during that time?
Right. Well,
and
Kang Prime, the way they set it up in the Loki series is Nathan Richards. Right. So where he's at, we don't know. Because
we don't know.
We know he wasn't He Who Remains because He Who Remains got killed. So where Nathan Richards is at, man, I don't know.
And if you're saying Richards, the name's familiar. Yes, he is kin to Reed Richards.
Yeah,
yes.
and Victor Von Doom. He's a descendant in the comic book. Nathan Richards is a 31st century descendant of Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom. So that means somewhere in the timeline, Von Doom and Richards' families crossed, and they created a baby, which is Nathan Richards.
Yeah. So the only way, Zach, the only way to answer your question, the only way to beat Kang is you're gonna have to destroy Kang Prime. You destroy Kang Prime, every other variant of Kang is out of here.
Right.
And that's gonna be a hard thing to do.
I don't think it's possible because like in the comics, they don't kill people, right? And so they bring them back, and it's almost impossible to bring back to get Kang. Like he's probably outside of Ultron. Kang is probably the hardest character to destroy, eliminate, bring back. I mean, man, he's almost like impossible to eliminate. So and on top of that, you got the whole freaking Council of Kangs. So there's a group of Kangs set aside to make sure we don't lose Kang on the timeline. So their thing is preservation of a Kang, no matter what rendition of the Kang it is. That's why there's this whole Council of Kangs, just like in the comic book, there's the Council of Richards. So, the storyline of Kang the Conqueror is just going to go like you've never seen Kang the Conqueror go before. And that's why I'm so glad that Feige came out and said, hey, man, this is the multiverse story. This story is going to talk us through, walk us through, and get us through the story of building up this multiversal idea. Now, some people say, man, I don't know. But I think it's going to be a great thing. And by the time we get to the Avengers and Phase 6, Avengers Kang Dynasty, which is the movie before Avengers Secret Wars, you're going to see just how pivotal stuff like Loki that you got introduced to in Phase 2, what they've already gaslit for a season 2 of Loki. They've already gaslit it and brought it in to make it like, okay, you got to really keep understanding how powerful and how good the Kangs really are, man. So I'm loving the fact that, Zach's focusing in on Kang and what he is and what he's doing and all whatever else. And the Marvelous fans out there, like you said, we want to keep hearing from you guys about your theories moving forward with Phase 5 and Phase 6. We've talked about before that Ant-Man Quantumania is the first movie in Phase 5. So we know that we're going to find out something that most people don't even understand, that the quantum realm is not even what Tony Stark and the Avengers thought it was in Endgame. Is it time? Is it space? Is it multiverses? What is it? And so we're going to get a whole story about actually what the quantum realm is that I believe is just going to play in huge with what's going forward with the whole story of the multiversal dimension or the multiverse, everything that's going on with these characters, right? So I just can't go. I could talk for hours and days about what the subplot is behind all of these things that we're going to see that we now know is leading to this huge thing at the end, which everybody loves, everybody wants Endgame, everybody wants Infinity War. Well, it's coming. We already been announced in 2025, Secret Wars and Infinity War. We know it's coming. I mean, not Secret Wars. You got Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty. So these Avengers movies are coming, but the idea of understanding how they're going to be set up, you got to move through Phase 4 into Phase 5 and then into Phase 6, right? And so that's the thing. Kang is pivotal in the multiversal story from Phase 4 to Phase 5 to Phase 6. There's no doubt Kang is that guy. So if that makes sense to the people that's watching the show.
Definitely.
I think Mod is having technical difficulties with his internet that's flowing right now. So
sorry about those. We just kind of discussed Kang here. Yeah. Let's talk about Guardians, Big G. Let's talk about Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, people are going to be upset. I'm just going to let it be known right now. We're way ahead because they've already said it. This is the end of the story. They're going to kill off certain characters, ones that you love and come to know and be a part of. It's over. So, but moving forward, you're going to get a new rendition of the Guardians because just like in all the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in the Marvel Comics, team-ups come and go. Teams come and go. So with them, they're going to eliminate some characters. I got a theory, and I think Rocket is the first to go, because they made the High Evolutionary supposedly the big bad for the movie. So if you know the comic books, the High Evolutionary created Rocket. So, and what you got to know, they're bringing in the High Evolutionary because the High Evolutionary got his ideology of dealing with stuff through Mr. Sinister. So Mr. Sinister, the High Evolutionary, how the High Evolutionary created Rocket. I mean, this is all going to be a big setup story. So I think that the Guardians, you'll lose members, but you'll get new ones. Maybe Cosmo, which, you got a famous actor cast as her. You're definitely probably going to get Adam Warlock. So I mean, there's a lot going on with these shows, man, which I really am looking forward to, if that makes sense, Mod. Wow, Mod is froze bad and it's muted. So What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, versus just keep going on and bringing up the without trying to, have the technical difficulties and all that. We thank you for listening to our show. Please, once again, if you like our stuff, please like and subscribe the Marvelous Talk podcast. We love you guys listening to us. We love bringing information to you guys. Our shows are on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but we're going to bring stuff throughout the week to give you just backdrop stories on certain characters on Marvel. So look forward to rabbit hole renditions, look forward to Mod's moments, and look forward to Max's big reveals concerning the Marvelous Talk podcast. For your boy Big G, for your main man Mod, and for your boy Max, thank you for listening to our podcast. We'll see you later on. Peace.